Hello, good afternoon. My name is Steve Turner. I wanted to take a few minutes and have a short chat with you, which really it's only me talking, so I guess that's not much of a chat, but an expression of a concern that I have in the business world today. And I know this is not new to everybody, but it is quite an urgent situation. We have just come out of the COVID season. Some will say we're still in it, but when you look at the way businesses work and you look at the adjustments that were made over time, we can see that it appears at the moment that we're coming out of the COVID season. The reason I want to talk to you is this. We have entered into a new business normal. It's not the same as it used to be. And part of this is a result of the COVID season because it caused an issue to bubble to the surface that's near and dear to employees' hearts. But the real cause of all this goes way back decades. So let's take a quick history and we'll talk about where we are today. The history goes back to the Industrial Revolution. And I'm going to pick on the time of Henry Ford and the Model T at the moment. It wasn't the only situation, but let's look at that time period. As farmers came off the farms and moved into the factories, there was a significant dynamic that was touched as a result of this. If you take a look at a farmer, he's on his farm, he's 100% control and responsible for his life. He has crop cycles and he has livestock cycles. These cycles may cycle, 1, 2, 3 times a year, whatever the case may be. On each of these cycles, when the farmer sold his crops or his livestock, he would get his money. He would take some, pay off the banker if necessary, and he would live off his funds for the rest of the year. So he was in control of his life. As farmers came off the farm and entered the factories, the dynamic is this. All of that responsibility and all of that control was compromised significantly. Because now instead of farmers being in the field doing what they needed to do by their timeline, they came into the factories and somebody else told them what to do. So now the dynamic has changed. And I'm not saying that this was done intentionally because it certainly wasn't, right? It's progress. But the dynamic is real. And that is that man has the innate inner desire to control his life to whatever degree they have the opportunity. And I can tell you that that's not something that we dreamed up. If you go to Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 to 28, you'll find it right there. When God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him rule. And it continues on. Verse 28, it's referenced again. So here's a topic, man ruling, being in control of their life as it progressed. Obviously, not on day one, but we have to learn these things. But throughout life, man wants to be in control of his life. That's one of the reasons we have free will, right? So as we moved on, we entered into the COVID season. And what happened? People started working from home. As a result of working from home, anybody that I'll use it as an example, has a 9-to-5 job. Now, instead of doing that 9-to-5 job from 9 to 5, they're doing it for maybe 7 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. But in between that 13-hour span, they're doing other things along with their job. Maybe taking the kids to school, picking up a friend. But the flexibility that was created as a result of working from home, people got very used to and comfortable with. So now when COVID ends, people get called back. That's understandable. But the flexibility that was lost resulted in what we have today, the Great Resignation, where there have been over 4 million people have quit their corporate jobs so they can go back home and work from home and try to make it work that way. So as we look at this, we as business leaders need to take a look at what can we do to fix this problem. Now, here's a very important concept here with this. Since this has been the management style for decades, we have multiple generations of business leaders have been functioning under the same approach, right? So one could almost say that we as business leaders today inherited the past and just replicated it. But here's one thing about business leaders. We also know when the time comes to change what we inherited. And we're in that spot right now. We need to take this situation and move it to a higher level. Now let's talk about just a minute why we even have this in the first place. Let's go back to the farmer, right? Gets paid 2 or 3 times a year, come into the factory, get paid 2 or 3 times a month, right? The dynamic significantly changes. Going from doing what they did on their own, making their own decisions, into somebody else telling them what to do. That was quite an adjustment. So now, as we move forward from here, let's take a look at the dynamic that a corporation has to deal with. And this was also created as a result of the realities of business life. The people, let me just give you this illustration. The people here that do the day-to-day work every single day are here, right? And the people responsible for them, let's start small business, they're right there, right? Hand in hand, more like this, existing. As business grows, people get added. There's more people here, and there's more people in this middle space right here because of the way we delegate work and responsibility. So over time, as businesses grow, the space between where the work is done and those responsible for the business results is getting larger and larger. And I can tell you from experience, the higher you go, the more you look at numbers and we forget what's going on down here. So as we're looking at these numbers, we know that the requirements flow downhill, right? So if the leadership team, the C-suite, the CEO, et cetera, says, this is what we're doing, this is what we're looking at, we need to accomplish these numbers, there's nothing wrong with that because there are stakeholders looking for those results. They could be share owners who are looking for return on their investment. If you're a small business owner, you're in the same place because you want your business to succeed and to generate an ultimate result. Whether that's an exit strategy where you sell the business or perhaps you will it to a family member, it doesn't matter. In both of those situations, there's an ultimate objective of being in business. That's not going to change. Here's what has to change, though. What has to change is the fact that this number looking up here cannot be driven down so low that we forget the fact it's people down here doing the work. Now let's take a look at these 2 words, manage and lead. We should manage systems, we should manage processes, and we should manage procedures, okay? But we should lead people. We should lead people so that they succeed in doing the rest of the work. Anytime, and here's a challenging thought for you, anytime anybody has their people group in the managed category, you're at risk and subject to the numbers falling downhill, right? We need to lead people as people, not, I'm going to use the word robot, not exactly correct, but I'm trying to make the comparison. So, having said all that, we as business leaders need to change this approach. Now, we focus on this. This has been near and dear to my heart for decades. I've been in the business world for 45 years, 35 at UPS, and 10 in the entrepreneurial space since then. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the size company. It doesn't matter the location. I spent 5 years in Europe. I saw the same thing. Cultures change, hearts don't. People want to do good work. They want to be led, not directed. So, if anybody out there would like to talk about this with me personally, you can. You're going to see a phone number on the screen here in a couple of seconds. You can give me a call if you'd like. You can send me an email to the email on the screen. It won't cost you a dime. Actually, I enjoy talking to business leaders to listen to their challenges and provide solutions. So I encourage you, give me a call. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.